Okay. Oh yeah, so let's look at the studies. Here's where those studies were I was talking about. So some more studies about the flu vaccine, because you know, if you decide all that stuff's okay to inject in you, and that's not the issue, then we look at its effectiveness, right? Because I mean, okay, so some poison is okay as long as it really does a good job for us, right? But vaccinating, in this study, vaccinating young children against the flu had no impact on flu-related hospitalization or doctor visits. Because that's really one of the other stories we're told, you know, because every so often, maybe every year, we find out, oops, the flu vaccine of this year is the wrong strain, doesn't really help. But it will cut down on hospitalizations and death. Sort of like the fallback. Another study in Lancet, which is a well-respected journal, not associated with reduced risk of pneumonia in older people. Because that's the other thing, another one you hear, at least young people and old people should get the flu vaccine.
And
yeah, and pneumonia shot, sure. Even though that's bacterial, right? I mean, that makes no sense, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, vaccination coverage among elderly increased from 15% in 1980 to 65% in 2008. Yet there's been no decrease in death from influenza or pneumonia. And then another one, no decrease in death. And then this middle one is talking about the problems, why you'll see research that says it's good, but actually the research, you know, because the frailty, selection bias, use of non-specific endpoints, and such as all-cause mortality, have led cohort studies to greatly exaggerate vaccine benefits. So it's kind of, you know, cookie the books kind of a thing. And then this last one is a large-scale systematic review of 51 studies, including 260,000 children, aged 6 to 23 months. So 260,000 kids under the age of 2, over the age of 6 months, and found no evidence that the flu vaccine is any more effective than a placebo at doing anything. And then, you know, I mean, there's a lot of reasons for why this is recommended, but the truth is that in the early 90s and before, you would never give a flu vaccine to a child under 5 or a pregnant woman. Toxic. Never do that. You remember that? Yeah, you're nodding your head. Then we had a new head of the CDC come in the early 90s, who, during her time at the CDC, which is about a 6-year span, bought hundreds of thousands of shares in Merck and Pfizer and some of the other pharmaceuticals that make the flu shot. And then, mysteriously, she must have had a premonition. She decided, you know, everyone should, 6 months on, and pregnant women. And so by the end of the 90s, they were recommending it for pregnant women and children, starting at 6 months. And so some of the numbers you see about how many vaccines someone gets in their lifetime include the fact that they're considering you're getting, you know, 70 flu vaccines. So when you see like hundreds of, that's part of it, you know, because you're supposed to get it every year. And then, surprisingly or not, that on the left there it's talking about 0% effective. On the right here is by year. I guess it was 2002 that they mandated it in children. This is the death rate from influenza of children under the age of 5. So 99, 2000, 2001, 2002. You see it's kind of, you know, kind of gradually going down. 2002 mandate early childhood flu vaccines in U.S. and, you know, you can sort of, if you read graphs, see what happened. And that's showing us statistically, at least, that actually caused an increase in the number of deaths related to flu, not related to any of that other stuff, just influenza-related deaths. So that's kind of startling. And because I like these fun, colorful graphs, and we're talking about vaccines, I thought I'd throw this one up there too, and then we'll move on. But just my last shot at vaccines in general. What you see here, I know the writing is tiny, but what you see here is this one on the left is, these are all for the United States, and these are all a similar graph with the years on the bottom and the number of deaths related to the diseases on the vertical. That one on the left is pertussis, where that line is pointing down and to where it's already really low. That's when the vaccine was introduced and widely used. I'm sorry, that's not pertussis. Oh, well, anyway, there's 2 pertussis on there. The one on the bottom left is measles. Same thing, you see it pointing down over there. And then influenza, it's pointing off of the screen. There's a similar one for polio as well. But this one I like in the middle there because you don't see a line pointing at anything, because that's scarlet fever and there's no vaccine for that. But you might notice a similar pattern, right? And so, you know, I mean, what stopped that one, right? And ain't the same, and those are all the same time frames. So it's quite a remarkable thing to consider all these communicable diseases that we were saved from by vaccines all seem to have been almost going away before the vaccines were ever, you know, introduced. Hi guys, come on in.
Hi. Saved us some seats.
I did. How did I know? Just the right amount.
Well, when we were growing
Keep
up,
your head low.
we
No,
got
you're
the
fine.
measles. I mean, it was
Uh-huh.
nothing. I mean, you got
Yeah.
the measles and you just dealt with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, smallpox, or not smallpox, excuse me, chickenpox, you got
Mhm.
that too, you just dealt with it.
Yes, even
And now
today,
we get shots for everything.
Yeah.
even today, like the other day, my kid came home and said there was a chickenpox scare at school.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, yeah, one kid came in. I'm like, so everybody was scared because one kid?
Yeah, yeah, that's what we're taught. I know it's true. You know, it was a funny thing because last year, well, it wasn't funny, I guess, but last year there was this supposed measles outbreak in Disneyland, right? And somebody, you know, back to Facebook, somebody posted a link to a YouTube video of a Brady Bunch episode where all the kids got measles. And it was like totally mellow, you know, like, oh, you got measles, oh yeah, you're getting bed, oh no, Bobby's got them too. And they're like in bed, you know, they got the thermometer and they're reading books and, you know, having a good old time. And, you know, and I think the point is that was seen as something normal. And when I was a kid, chickenpox was the thing. We didn't get measles, but chickenpox. And now it's like, yeah, what you're saying, you know,